Follow along today as we take this procon, which is a tad crusty, torn up and abused from playing a lot of Smash Brothers, and we're going to turn it into this absolute unit. But in order to do that, we're going to need this, that, these, those, them, these guys, and this, not to mention our crusty donor. Follow along. This is going to be a pretty fun build. Let's get started. All right, first things first, we need to work on this shell. This is from Extreme Rate, extremely good. I highly recommend. They have good quality shells, but just because it's Extreme Rate doesn't mean it's not a Chinese mold. All of these little screw hole backings here will need to be threaded. So we're going to do that right now. And to make life easy, we're busting out the Dremel. Alright, so it does not take much to pull plastic out of these holes here. You want to make sure you're nice and flush. Sorry for the camera angle, but I need to come straight down on it. I'm going to place it in and just give it a little... And that's pretty much all it takes. You just widen this hole just enough to get the screw started and it will seat. Now remember which ones you've done as you go across the shell, and go ahead and carve out just a little bit on each of them. We're going to take these and set them aside and bust out old crusty procon. Alright, let's take this old tired unit apart. We're basically just reshelling this, and we're going to touch up the internals while we're at it. Let's go ahead and get this bad boy apart. Grab you a nice Phillips micro driver. Next, we have to remove the battery. Set that aside. Uh-oh, we even have a piece of broken plastic in here. Maybe someone had a bit of rage and chunked this guy. Let's see if we find any more damage on the inside. Screws all zipped out. Take this faceplate here and separate it carefully, because there is a ribbon in here that we do not want to tear by yanking on it. We're just going to ever so slightly pry it away. Oh, did you hear that? That sucker crusty. All right, faceplate is almost loose. Wiggle it past the analog sticks. Ooh, there we go. We lost an analog stick in the process, but they're just friction. From here, let's release this ribbon cable right here, and off it pops. Very simple little lever. All you have to do is lift it and it pops away. We'll leave it on this side because it doesn't need to come off of that board. In here, we've got buildup, fuzz, hair, skin cells, you name it. It all gets in there. And Nintendo lube is notorious for being crap. So we're definitely going to lube these sticks up. They're actually very good about not having a dead space. And we can reuse these. These are going to be perfectly fine. We'll just bring them back to life with a little bit of lube and a lot of bit of cleaning. Around the edges as well, you get the build-up of skin cells from playing against your hands for so much. This can get in your controller, get in the analog sticks, get in the button compartments, and will gunk it up. It'll work its way in eventually, which is why it's nice to open up your controller and clean it out every once in a while. I offer tune-ups and cleaning. Grab you a nice little stiff brush, and we're going to clean this analog stick up on both sides. I'm going to get a little more in-depth on these triggers here with a pair of tweezers and get every little last piece out of it. So we'll set that aside. And now we need to pull this board off of this old faceplate here. We've got a few screws to zip out here. Alright, and it's as easy as lifting it away. Oh, the board here actually looks great. We don't even have to do anything to that. But we're going to disassemble our buttons next. Parts to keep are all of these rubber gaskets here. Unless they are completely clapped, might as well keep them, especially around these. These don't see nearly any wear. They're basically eternal parts. Hold on to them. The parts that do see wear are mostly this right here. And as we look there, something has definitely been spilled on it. You can see a sheen on there and some sort of dried liquid. On closer inspection, we can actually see where something was definitely spilled on this controller. It is sticky to the touch and is probably why the performance of this guy had gotten so low. Let's see. Oh yeah, there we go. That is definitely going to cause problems with the D-pad. If you see there, it is all crusted up, so it was definitely sticking inside the housing. Let's put that back and hope we never have to touch it again. We don't need any of this anymore. We have all new replacements for these, so this is going to get yeeted into the trash, along with all the old scrap parts. And now, to clean, you can use alcohol and a toothbrush if you want to be super serial about it. But personally, good old Clorox wipes get the job done every time. After a thorough cleaning, these buttons are still actuating quite nicely. There's still plenty of life left in these mats, so we are going to reuse them. As you can see, they clean up quite well, and it's not that hard to do, and that just makes such a world of difference to your gameplay. The more I'm looking at this over here though, I see some more residue hiding in the little corners here. So as we disassemble this bit here, we're going to give it a nice little cleaning. Alright, so taking these triggers off is as easy as giving it a nice little pry, and they come right off. Without the shell holding them in place, they're just basically friction pressed into these two little brackets here. And for these guys, it's got a little bar right here made of metal that just takes some convincing to pull out. I am seeing some stuff in here, so we're going to give that a quick clean. So for this next section, we're going to get all the parts we actually need. And here we go. So we've got all the buttons we're going to use, and you're going to be like, Jeebus, why did you order so many button sets just to use a piece or two from each one? Because it's going to be cool, and it's going to look like our other build we got going on, the competitive GameCube controller build. Please check the channel and subscribe to see how we're turning this from stock to a real competitive build. plug over. So now we need to go get all of these guys into our fresh purple shell. Most of this is just playing where it can go. One of these things is not like the other type fit. So your X gonna have little tabs. Pretty easy to figure out that it slides in like so. We're gonna go ahead and put all of our buttons in. The home button will take a little more effort as it has its own little special housing that we saved from the original controller and cleaned up quite nicely. All you're gonna have to do with that again is slide it in. It can only fit one way. Once you have it slid home in there, it's as easy as lining up that housing there and dropping it in. And that should fit nice and snug. It's not the outside that moves, it's going to be the inside. Now we're gonna place our gaskets in. Gaskets, silicone membranes with carbon pucks to actuate our buttons. And again, they only fit in one way. Very hard to mess up. It's very obvious which direction they go. They don't fit in any other direction. So all you gotta do is see where it goes, pick it out, drop it in. Ooh, that guy needs a little cleaning. I almost missed that. Didn't take much, it wasn't much, but being a good modder means being good at attention to detail. Slide him home, and then this itty bitty membrane guy goes on the back of our home button here. And again, it only fits one way. You get a flat side there and a flat side there. You line up the flat sides, it drops right in. Let's go ahead and get our triggers set up. It's as easy as working in reverse. Now there's a little tab right here in the bottom of L and R1, and it slides right in here. Tab it in, post into the hook, click, and it actuates. And that's all there is to it. Same on the other side. Get it in the tab, whoop, tab in, click in the hooks, and it's good to go. As these go, we're gonna have to get it in there, line up this little hole that is very hard to point at, line it up in that little hole right there, and shove one of these rods back through it. And there we go. All buttons secure and actuating. Now that everything's in there and ready to be seated, our little circuit board's going to go in here. It only goes in one way. Your ribbon will be in the bottom right. Then this is going to sit on top. Again, it only fits in one direction. Very easy to work with. And we're going to slide this ribbon cable into this little receiver here. Go. Just wiggle it on in there. And once it's in, close its little flap right here. And it is secure. Okay, here comes a bit of a frustrating part. Now we have drilled out each of these holes to make life a little easier, but we are threading screws into raw plastic. There are no original thread holes in here currently, so we're gonna have to force it. And this is why you should pay your modders well, and why custom controllers are expensive, because this is kind of a giant pain in the butt. I'm going to walk you through the first one here. I'm just going to seat the screw in there. Make sure it's going to go in flush. And we're going to walk it in. A little bit in until it stops, a little bit out, a little bit in, a little bit out, a little bit in. And that is going to form some nice threaded screw holes. Now, I'm going to do this in real time, just so you see how much of a pain in the butt this can be if you don't have a power drill, or you don't pre-drill these holes. Even now, it's fighting me every step of the way, trying to strip itself, but that one is secure. Now we're going to repeat this about 16 times. You need to check that you threaded them all the way. Some of them don't go all the way to the bottom and they feel tight, but that's just because you've gone down farther than you ground out with your Dremel earlier. If you see right here, I've got wiggle just about a millimeter right there in the board, which means that screw isn't holding this board all the way down. So I'm going to take my manual screwdriver and really wrench on it. Just in, out, in, out, in, out, in. And this will generate good threads, and I feel like I've bottomed it out there. We'll check again, and no wiggle. Check on the screws over here. This one does have wiggle. We're going to have to do it to this screw as well. And the other screw seems good. So just these two on the outside caused me a problem. Alright, now these 4 screws are threaded nicely. The L and R are lining up real nice with the shell here. And now we can actually actuate the buttons. And this is how they're going to feel when the controller's together, as this is all that's going to press against them. It's time to reconnect the face shell to the internal part. But now let's lube these stick boxes up now that they're nice and cleaned out. Nintendo lube is horrendous, honestly. It is not very good. Do not recommend. But white lithium grease holds up extremely well. There are other types of lube you can use, but this one has worked great for me for years of working on GameCube controllers. So might as well bring it into the era of procons. A little daub is all you need. Sorry for all the reflections, but this is just my method here. Grab you a little toothpick, get you a little bit on there. Does not take that much. And we're just going to move the sticks to the side, and you can see what moves. There, there. And we're just going to just daub a little bit in each of these moving sections. Wiggling it around to get it to work its way into all those crevices. Look at that, I even pulled out a bit of something that I missed on the first go around. Yeah, keep your eyes peeled for more gunk that might come out of these, because they do tend to collect it with all the little bits and bobs and nooks and crannies in there. Alright, and look at there. I don't even know what that is. I completely missed that and worked it loose as we were cleaning. Who knows? Oh yeah, that feels nice. And that's all it takes. It really does not take much. It just needs to be in the right place. And let's go ahead and lube this other. Let's go ahead and install our new caps on here. Oh, they seat very easily. There's only 2 ways they go, and that's it. We need to go ahead and get this ribbon cable from here to here. All right, ribbon cable secured. Next is to, well, took that off so you can see. Let's put it right back on. Slide it home. Let's see how it looks. Oh my God. Man, tell me that isn't clean. But we're not done yet. Time for more screws. Remember, these screws are going to have to be tapped as well, which means we're going to have to go in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out until they seat nicely. For this round, we've got here, 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 and here. Alright, that was a pain in the butt. We had to fight most of those, but we got them in there. Alright, home stretch. Now it is easy as battery and back plate. We're going to take our battery, slide it in nicely, seats very easily. And our back plate, make sure you don't have anything on the back here. Nice and clean. Don't want to undo this, I promise. And we're just going to slide it home. Alright, now these 4 back screws are the aluminum ones, the bright silver screws. Back screws are all in. Now we just put it on our back grips. It's as easy as lining up that internal ridge with the one slot on the outside. There it goes. God, this is so pretty. Sorry I'm gushing, but let's go ahead and get the last screws in, then we can play with it. Alright, my screwdriver's just about out of power, but look, we are complete. Everything feels nice and springy. Everything's actuating. We now have octagonal gates so that we can do our directions better while we're playing. Highly recommend, if you're playing Procon, switch to octagonal gates. It is very nice. But oh my god, what a stinker that controller was before. And now look at it. Let's get this cleaned up and do some beauty shots. And here we are, finished product. This was a crusty, soda-spilled, not very playable controller and is now an absolute unit. It is gorgeous, it functions well, everything is competitive, the sticks feel great, the buttons feel great, the triggers are actuating, and man, look how cool this scheme is, the SWITCHCUBE. It's awesome. I'm in love. I hope you enjoyed this build. Check out the channel and see where we're taking this guy right here and turning it into a very competitive build for Ultimate. Highly recommend that part of our channel. But this is a local guy who requested me to bring this back to life, and I'm hoping he thoroughly enjoys it. Thank you for watching.